All right, so we are now going through exercise 3B, question 1, evaluate each of the following, and here we have what we have to deal with. Now, as you can see here, we have a fractional indices. So how is it that we can kind of translate this to what we already know? So in here, we have some information about radicals that we can actually interpret. So instead of writing it like this, I'm going to show you two ways you could write it. So you could write it, and this is the way I prefer to write it. So I'm going to, this 3 down here tells me that it's a cube root of 125. And this up here, this 2 is telling me to then square root the entire thing. Now there is another way you could write it. This, in this case, is the best way to approach it. But if you wanted to, you could write it like this as well. So you're still going to write that cube root. If I can draw this, there we go. There we go. So 1, 2, 5. But this time, instead of putting that 2 there, you could also put it inside the radical. It doesn't really matter. It really depends on the question you've been asked. Now, if you know what 125 square is, good for you. And then if you know how to cube root that, even better. But as you can see, it's far easier to do it this way. But it's important that you know that both of these are the same thing. So I could say that these two equal each other. So now here I would go, all right, what's the cube root of 125? So in other words, what number could I times by itself 3 times to get 125? So 5 cubed is 125. So I know that is going to be 5. And then I still have this 2 on the outside. So I go equals, I go equals, I go equals. 5 squared is what? 25. Now I could do the same thing over here. I can show you. So if I did this, if I got my calculator out and went 125 squared, that is 15625. So 15625, and then cube that. And then if I go the cube root of that answer, I'm going to get 25. So it still checks out, but obviously you would not do it this way. Simply because, I mean, unless you knew these numbers already, it's just far easier to do it that way. But it's important that you know that both ways work. Okay, equals, fantastic.